The vCenter virtual appliance was introduced by VMware to provide a quicker, easier way of deploying vCenter Server. Since it runs as a self-contained Linux-based VM, it does not require a Windows Server license, and therefore there is one less Windows instance to manage in the environment. At this stage we've already deployed a couple of ESXi servers, however they're currently being managed independently. As mentioned, the vCenter Server Appliance is supplied as a Linux-based virtual machine packaged up in an OVF template. To deploy it, we first need to log on to one of our ESXi hosts. Once logged in, we deploy the template from the File menu. We now just run through the wizard confirming the template details and specifying a name, host and storage location for our VCSA virtual machine. So once the OVF has been deployed, we've logged onto the virtual machine console and we can see the details that we need to access the VM. We now access the GUI landing page of the VCSA using the URL specified in the console of the virtual machine. We need to enter some default credentials in order to access the VCSA administration portal. So the wizard is informing us that in order to configure a static IP address, which you'd want to do in most cases, we need to cancel this wizard first and enter the address settings manually. We go to the Network tab, click Address, and then we just need to enter our static IP information. I'm going to save the settings and then we can return to the Setup wizard. Because I'm changing the IP address, I also need to adjust the URL that I'm connecting to. So now we log back into the GUI, we rerun the Setup wizard. So I'm going to set a custom configuration for my VCSA. One of the value propositions of the VCSA is that it does have this built-in database, which eliminates the need to have an external database such as SQL Server. The single sign-on type I'm going to select is embedded. In conjunction with single sign-on, we could use Active Directory integration. This would allow us to take advantage of functionality, such as the current Windows user being able to log on automatically without re-entering their details. So once we've reviewed our settings, we click Start. This will enable the vCenter Server, Inventory Service, Database and Single Sign-On modules. There are a couple more settings we recommend you change. One being the default administrator password for the VCSA console. Also, we recommend you change the automatic update settings so that the appliance at least checks for updates on a regular basis. One thing to look out for, particularly if you're using single sign-on, is that the hostname should be in its fully qualified domain name format. If the hostname is not in this format, then this may cause problems with single sign-on configuration. This is a good time to check for updates before we put any configuration on our vCenter Server instance. We can see that an update is available, so we'll go ahead and install that now. Now that the upgrade is complete, we just need a reboot of the appliance to apply the changes. Shown here is the login page for the vSphere web client. Once logged into the web client, we can then begin setting up our new vCenter instance. If we go to our administration area, we're able to configure single sign-on for a default identity source. At the moment, the local OS is the default identity source. If we only plan on using user accounts that are local to the vCenter instance. We would normally set the default identity source to vsphere.local. If we had set up an Active Directory identity source, we typically want to set this as the default so that users can A. log in with their Active Directory credentials, but also so we can use Windows integrated authentication so they don't have to type in their credentials at all when logging on to vCenter Server. So that concludes the basic configuration of our vCenter Server appliance. As with any vCenter server, it's important to make the instance highly available. We can use vSphere HA to achieve this. Once we've created a data center and cluster, we just need to set HA rules to ensure that the vCenter VM is protected. Thanks for watching. Why not visit us at ng-it.co.uk and follow us on Twitter for the latest information on Nimble storage. We'll also be adding new video content regularly, so check back soon or subscribe to our YouTube channel for more.